All right, we are right on the hour. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our June AgriStress meeting. We have two ladies here that have some wonderful projects that they're going to share. Maria is going to go first. Maria is from the University of Delaware, and she has a project called Confident Conversations that she's going to tell us about. And then after after Maria, Miss Katie is going to go, and we've heard a little bit about this in another state about telehealth for libraries. Well, they have a telehealth for libraries course. So I'm assuming that that is going to be where the libraries can get set up to offer this in their local libraries, which is phenomenal. So we are going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who just came on, I have a little minion. My little grandson, 18-month-old grandson, is with me today. I'm an emergency backup babysitter. I think he'll be fine. But in case my picture goes off, it means I'm changing a dirty diaper or something of the sort. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that Miss Maria can go ahead and share her screen. And we're going to hear all about her topic of confident conversations. There we go. Looks perfect, Maria.
Great. So thank you for having me today. I'm really excited about being here. I am Maria Pippidis, and today I'm going to talk about confident conversations and tools and techniques for managing difficult discussions. This project was funded through Cultivamos, which in the Northeast region is the Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network. And so today, this is my contact information. As I said, I work for the Cooperative Extension Service in Delaware, and I am a family and consumer science educator with a background in financial management and health insurance literacy and all sorts of family and consumer science areas. But got involved with this because we know that many of the stressors that farmers face have to do with access to health care, access to mental health, and finances. So a little bit about the Confident Conversations Initiative. Within the Farsan Northeast, which they call Cultivamos, in our regional area, University of Delaware Cooperative Extension was able to become a sub-awardee that helped to kind of pull together the cooperative extension systems within the Northeast to kind of gather them together, help do some training, and try to address some of the specific needs that they have as they were working with farm audiences. And one of the things that came up early in our conversation, so this is, 2.5, 3 years ago, was farm extension folks, farm management folks may not feel comfortable talking about mental health, and yet they are oftentimes talking with people who are stressed out. And so many of them had gone through something like mental health first aid and whatnot, which was all very helpful, but they were feeling like they needed something more and maybe something a bit lighter. And so we were looking for some ways to reduce stigma around farm stress, bring resources, and then increase educators and service providers' kind of confidence in talking about mental health issues. And one of the things that kind of spurred from our conversation is, isn't there a way we can do this in a humorous way? Can we begin to integrate humor into some of what we do to not undermine the importance of talking about it, but sort of lighten it up so it doesn't feel so heavy? And so out of that came some funds through Cultivamos to develop 3 humorous videos, some activities, and a curriculum that can be used with audiences. And then also supporting the training of people to use the materials. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about an overview of the materials. And so the big resources that were developed were a Confident Conversations Facilitator's Guide, which includes the background information, lesson plans, access to the videos, any handouts that might be used in a presentation, and then evaluation tools. And then the second piece was a podcast series. There's 7 parts that is called Mending Our Fences. And this was a unique podcast series where we had 3 extension professionals from different areas within the region talking with a therapist. And so each of the podcasts has a different theme, like family dynamics, succession planning, financial challenges, kind of dealing with change. And so the extension educators kind of talked a little bit about what they're seeing out there in the field as they're talking with farmers. And then the therapists sort of talked about the physical and mental processes that people go through as they're dealing with change, for example, or dealing with difficult people or whatnot. And so it's a unique introduction for people who may be a little shy around talking with a therapist, but kind of lays things out in a way that I think makes it more approachable. So I'm going to go deeper into this Confident Conversations Facilitator's Guide and content. So as you all know, mental health is, everyone has mental health, and it's a continuum or a spectrum. And one of the things that we're trying to reinforce with farmers is that they are their most important asset, and that they can't be helping others if they're not at their best. And so that it's important to talk with people, that you don't have to be in crisis to talk with people, and that asking for help is a sign. And sometimes it takes practice to open up to others. We know that many farmers can be very isolated, and in that are very kind of loner type people, spend a lot of time by themselves. And so it can take practice, right, to be in and around people if you're kind of living in that space. So, and the idea is that even as we're talking about extension educators, allied health professionals, farmers, right? Everybody can play a role in creating supportive communities. So one of the things that we tried to do is talk about communication, and that's really a key, and that that communication strengthens relationships, it builds trust, it can build a community, it can help with a brainstorming of how to create creative solutions to some of those stressors, and can help destigmatize mental well-being. We've also tried to incorporate this notion of humor. And so as you look at this comic strip that's on the slide, here are 3 doctors. They've dropped to their patient, and one of the doctors say, and that is why we lift on 3, right? So again, it's a little bit about humor and recognizing that your body changes physiologically, mentally, when you are in the moment, experiencing humor, and then can lead to being more receptive to learning some things, right? So we talked about specific within the curriculum, we talk about communication techniques that can help elevate people's communication skills. And so we focus on some adult learning strategies. We talk about positive psychology and supporting character strengths. And from the humor side of things, we talk about improvisation communication techniques of yes and thank you because, as 2 tools that can be used as we're talking with farmers. So in our first session, so there's 3 lessons, right? Our first session is called Conversations in the Cornfield. And the focus here is really to understand humor and the yes and tool, and to practice using this tool, and the notion that communication can really help manage stress and reduce isolation. The focus within a video, so there are 3 videos, and each of the lessons has one of the videos. And so the focus in the video is really recognizing isolation can impact mental well-being, that communication about stressors is important, and it kind of it demonstrates sort of the use of yes and as a communication technique by professional comedians. So what I've tried to do is just give you a short outline. Each of the videos, the photograph on this slide is one of the, a screenshot of a part of the video, and those are our 2 comedians. But each of the videos is about 6 minutes long, and each of our lessons can be done in about 30 minutes. So what I tried to do here is just, here's our outline, right? So we do some introductions, we talk about stress, we talk about how humor can reduce stress, and introduce the notion of improv communication, meaning the yes and technique, as well as the thank you because technique. And then we practice, right? And we give folks some little case story to kind of to practice using yes and. Specifically, we ask them to plan an ag event. Okay, so in your small group, talk about using only the yes and strategy, how you would plan this event. Then we watch the video, and then we debrief the video, and then talk about some strategies to reduce isolation and wrap up. In our second session, is called Super Farmer of Hope. And again, here is a video snip. And so in this session, we're really talking about understanding how connection to people and community can help manage stress, and recognize and cultivate what are called character strengths. And so this is really underpinned with the theory behind positive psychology. And so we introduce the 24 character strengths and learn the importance of hope in managing stress and building resilience. In terms of the video, the focus there is really about building communities of support and how hope can be created and fostered. Again, here's a quick overview of our outline. And again, the image on this screen is the image we use that kind of recognizes the 24 character strengths that we're using in this lesson. The outline then, after introductions, talks a little bit about life as it has stressors, introduces positive psychology and the 24 character strengths, and we distribute this visual. And then we have some activities where we're sharing a story about, a farm-oriented story, and asking people then to identify what are the character strengths of the person that is described in the story, or the actions of the person that is described in the story. And then talk a little bit about what are their character strengths? Like, share a story of yourself, right? And something that you feel good about, and what are some of your character strengths? And so we debrief those activities. We, encourage them to think about character strength spotting in their family members and coworkers and others that they interact with. Show the Super Farmer of Hope video, debrief, and then talk about strategies to review to build hope. And our last session is called the WFARSAN Emotional Weather Report. And again, objectives are really to understand that mental health continuum, understand cumulative stress and burnout and strategies to manage them, and then understanding the role that seeking help can play in managing mental well-being. The video kind of focuses on farm life and has many stressors, and that it's okay to seek support. And there's lots of different kinds of support. So in this outline, we talk about life has many stressors and introduce the notion of burnout and kind of the difference between burnout and depression. And we distribute this handout, which really talks about different aspects of an operation or a work environment that can cause burnout, what to look for, what does it look like, and then, trying to help them kind of peel the onion, so to speak, about the characteristics and looking at their operation as these sort of sub sections, right? The organizational aspects, the job-related aspects, the personal aspects that might be causing that burnout, and what is it that we can do to address those issues. And so we introduced the idea of self-care as being really important, especially as it deals with burnout. And then we view the WFARSAN weather report video, debrief it, and of course, distribute the evaluation and resources. So what I thought I'd do now is share the WFARSAN video so that you get a sense of kind of the content and the way humor is used to kind of elevate issues around mental well-being. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this is going to work.
Because, Vern, I need coffee or the intern.
Oh, we're on.
Thanks, Vern. Caffeine, am I right? Welcome to the WFARSAN Weather Report, brought to you by Keep It Quiet Poultry Farms. Why talk when you can brood? Get it, Vern? Brood. I am weatherwoman Nadine Isaacson.
And I'm Vern Vernissage, weather intern. Looks like a depression is forming over the northeast, brought on by low pressure.
Yes, Vern, most of us know that generally speaking, low pressure systems can bring about depressions which result in rain, moisture, etc. in the real world. But in the WFARSAN weather world, we recognize that sometimes high pressure can lead to depression.
We're still talking about rain, right?
Yes, Vern, and depression.
Oh, you're saying depression an awful lot, Nadine.
Am I? Or am I not talking about depression enough? Welcome to the WFARSAN Emotional Weather Report.
Nadine, this is a weather report. We're talking about actual climate. People don't want to hear about farmers' emotional climate or their depression.
Boy, you are brutal like an early season frost.
Oh, that's what my mom says.
I like her. Listen, Vern, farmers are the unsung heroes of this country, literally keeping us all alive. Without these resilient farmers, we all suffer. Vern, we all suffer. In fact, we die. Vern, we die. Look at this pressure center here. With that pressure center comes lost floods, fields, fish, fallow fields, farm failures.
That's a lot of F words, Nadine.
How did you get this job?
I have a bright, toothy smile.
Many farmers feel frustrated and fed up, and they also feel...
Totally. I'm sorry, I just got caught up in the F words.
They feel that they have to weather these storms alone, without empathy, without support.
Oh, they're like silos, like totally alone.
Yes, Vern, sort of, yes. And without empathy or support, they're isolated, with all of us in the country depending on their being strong, on their weathering the storm. But, like the silos, if they don't get the needed maintenance, they can eventually crumble.
Oh, that's deep.
Like the turbulence that is thrown at them.
Like the pile in the barn. shame they have to endure this alone.
They don't, Vern, they don't. That's the thing. There are people who get it, people who can help them with this stormy weather.
Stormy weather.
Oh no, stop. People who understand, who can listen, who can coach, and who can recognize the inherent.
Yikes.
Value farmers bring. They can help them about how to strengthen their operations.
Extension folks.
Yes. How did you know that, Vern?
I have no idea.
You seem old for an intern.
I am.
The thing is, Vern, ag folks are hardworking and they're resilient and innovative, but when it gets tough, they don't often use the tools and resources that are available to them.
Well, so extension folks are like an umbrella. Like when you walk outside and you get all wet and you think, oh my gosh, I have like 10 umbrellas in my closet at home.
Yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
But so there you sit, siloed, alone, and instead you could talk to farm folks, an extension person here, or a Sea Grant person here.
That's the middle of the ocean.
Okay, fine. Here, you see, the pressure gets more evenly spread, like a cirrus cloud.
You meteorologist, you. Yes. Extension and Sea Grant folks can help farmers expand their circle of support and build a stronger community. It takes courage, Vern, to address every day, to face your own emotional weather report. It takes courage to talk about mental health, and it takes courage to address it.
Well, if there's one thing farmers have, it's courage.
That's right, Vern.
I sense a front of optimism approaching with a bit of pleasant weather.
Well, that's the weather report for today, folks. So before you head out, make sure you grab an umbrella, some sunscreen, and maybe even a parka.
The future is unknowable.
Just like yours, Vern.
Still?
Yes, still.
Well, I hope some of you thought that was a little humorous. As my colleagues say, you know, it's so over the top, it's funny. So as we have used this video in our programming, then we kind of use this slide to help debrief, right? What are the different kinds of stressors that people might have? And then where can you go for help with these concerns? And, you know, we just sort of list these and put people in small groups to kind of talk through this and share amongst themselves. So, and then kind of, you know, wrap it with, you know, what are some of the activities the community can do to support you during times of high stress or burnout. So I wanted to just share that as an example of the resource and how we're using it and give you an idea of what it looks like. So we've had some good success. We've offered the training, or at least some of the training, with a bunch of audiences. I've got data from about 64 different individuals. And so we're asking confident and confidence questions and likelihood to act kinds of questions. And our questions are based on a 4-point scale, 1, not at all, to 4, really confident. And so you can see what I did was I kind of did an average score, right, before and after the training. And you can see some of the biggies, right, in terms of movement, certainly around using yes and, spotting character strengths, identifying cumulative stress and burnout in self and others, and helping others learn about burnout and stress. So of course, it's not statistically significant at this point. I'm hoping to get more data so we can get to that point, but I'm really pleased with the shifting of understanding and confidence around these topics. And then here is our likelihood to act feedback. And so you can see people are excited about the materials. They're more willing to talk a little bit about stress, can use the yes and communication tool, are likely to use those character strength spotting, share information about burnout. And, you know, we have a kind of a peel the onion kind of handout that focuses on self-reflection around burnout within the operation. And so 98% of the folks said the videos were great. They would use them. They increase awareness around the topics of mental health and stressors, and provide some ways to manage stress. So can't beat that in terms of feedback. And we got some feedback. You know, you can read these comments in terms of people feeling like they enjoyed the training, they liked the cartoons, they thought that the exaggerated videos would be helpful in terms of teaching effectiveness. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is that we are in the process of doing a train the trainer for these resources. And so actually this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we're going to be doing a kind of a deeper overview of the whole curriculum. And then I've gotten requests to model how to actually use the resource. And so the next couple of Wednesdays where that's what I'm doing. So I'll be doing the Conversations in the Cornfield next week, Super Farmer of Hope the week after, and the W. Farsan Emotional Weather Report on the 28th. And I can put in the chat, this is the registration link, and I will put that in the chat if you're interested in joining us.
Yeah,
so
like put the link in the, or it's not Jake, actually, it's
Lori.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. And so Lori Walensky and Jake Jacobs are cohorts in my team here that are helping to support the training, and we'll look forward to having you. I think I have 2 minutes to take some questions. And so I am happy to do that.
Maria, I had a question. Did you say that this training was for people like us who work in the mental health care field, or for the actual farmers and community?
So the training itself is really for farmers.
Okay,
but the training that I'm doing next week or in the next few weeks is really kind of a train the trainer to help people feel confident about the content so that they could turn around and use it. I could really see someone from the kind of the mental health world partnering with ag service providers. You all might be more comfortable talking about this material. And so working together would be a really great process.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I would love to take it. So I clicked the link in there because I use humor a lot. So I had a 4-year recovery after being in a severe car crash where I just had one reconstructive surgery after another.
God.
And having 4 young kids at home, like if we didn't laugh and make fun of it, we would cry. So we kind of, like, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Like some people would say, hey, it's not a humorous situation, but actually I love the idea because it really helped our family
cope.
We knew it was so serious, but you had to have something to talk about. And that's how we kind of talked to it about with the kids is, you know, a little bit of humor interjected just to lighten it up a little bit. But like even in that video, it got the point across of what you were really going after.
Right. And that's really, you know, the other 2 videos are just the same, a little bit, you know, over the top. You know, we got a farmer in her, you know, cape who's saying, you know, we need hope. Let's talk about hope. Let's talk about community.
Yeah. Feel free. You guys can open up your mics or put questions in the chat, but feel free to go ahead and ask Maria anything that you would like.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Elena here, Elena Velez. Do you have these videos in Spanish?
No, not at this point. And partly that's because of funding. And partly because I think we would want to really get some feedback from Hispanic audiences to see if the humor works for them, right? We might have to devise something completely different just because, you know, humor is cultural. And so there may be some other things that we need to be, it's not the messaging that would be different. I think it would be the context, right? The humorous context that we might use. But I really, we talked about this just yesterday, Jake and Lori and I, like, gosh, we need to be doing this in other languages, and Spanish is certainly number one.
Is it a fairly new program?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to that, I would like to, if you have somebody who can share with you about culture, that would be fantastic. I am actually Colombian and I am a healthcare interpreter.
Oh, wonderful.
And a wellness educator. So I've been doing this work for about 20 years total. And I am training farmers on wellness on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And I am using humor. And awesome. We are a culture of humor, for sure. Yeah. Despite all the drama in our lives, we are very happy to laugh at drama too. So I'll be happy to
connect and help each other.
I would love that. I would love that. Can you?
We have another Elena that wants to ask a question. Oh, she might be frozen.
Say that again.
We have another Elena that has a question, but I think she just froze.
Okay, I'm adding my email here if you want.
Awesome, thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah, that's part of what we would love to do is connect, and so you guys can work together. Okay, the other Elena is back on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet is not working properly. Yeah, I was going to ask, how are you planning to get the feedback from the Hispanic community if we don't have anything in Spanish? So the majority of the farmer workers are Latinos. They speak Spanish. They don't speak English. So how are you collecting this feedback, or how is this working?
That's a great question, Elena. And really it's a project that we want to do, but have not started doing yet. And so any ideas or help, we would love to hear from you.
Okay, well, I'm not in the, I'm just an outreach coordinator. I don't have like all the medical background, but I'm out in the fields a lot. And I noticed that the majority of the people who work on the fields, they don't speak English at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you developing, and it's wonderful. And I think it's very, very nice, but I feel like, okay, you developing this wonderful program, but it's really, I don't see that many English speaking people working on the farms. So I'm sorry, I don't see how are we going to help really the real farmers that are out there in the field, the ones that are stressed out from leaving their homes, their family, their country, everything. And
where are you located, Alina?
I'm located in Harvard, Illinois.
Illinois, okay. You're right next to me. So that feedback, if Maria likes feedback from you guys like maybe both Alinas and Maria could get together and you guys can help her, because this is a fairly new program. It's still growing and evolving and everything like that. You guys could be essential to getting her in that Hispanic community.
Yeah, we would love that. Awesome. We would love that.
Yeah,
Elena.
I can say to Elena Velez, Elena, I just wrote to you, we can make a team and start from here because it's new. It doesn't matter who is going to do it, but if we can plan and start, we can grow it. That's totally cool.
Yes.
I am in Alameda, California, by San Francisco.
Are you in California? I'm in Illinois, so.
That's okay. That's what Zoom is for. Zoom is perfect. Thank you.
Elena G, if you would share your email with me,
Elena
I can.
Galarza, yes, I
Yes.
can do that.
Yeah, and Maria, we'll have you put your email and
I'm going to
no,
write.
they put the website already in there. So maybe your contact information in the chat for anybody who wants it right now.
Carrie,
And then if you miss it, we'll definitely send it out.
Carrie, did we were in another training together? You look so familiar to me.
Maybe so. I do a lot with AgriAbility, AgriSafe. I feel like I'm on Zoom all the time.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, thank you. And I'm going to mute so we can have Katie's presentation.
Awesome. Okay. Miss Katie is next. And I'm excited to hear about this one as well, because the whole library of getting mental health in libraries where it's confidential, it's better access to Wi-Fi, and it's close for that farmer is really been a big thing since the last time we had heard about this. And I would love for every small community to be able to get this in their library. So Katie, I will let you take it away and start sharing.
Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep, you look good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for having me here today. And so like Carrie said, I'll be talking some about telehealth in public libraries. And I just kind of want to preface this is that I'm talking specifically about libraries today, and that's kind of where our focus is for this course. But there's certainly a lot of information in here that could be applicable to any sort of community organization that has kind of the space and maybe the internet connection and stuff. So while we focus on libraries, this is certainly applicable to other organizations. So my name is Katie Farrier, and I'm the data science strategist for the Network of National Library of Medicine. And I'm part of the telehealth interest group, and we work together to kind of create these slides and share them with you today. So if you haven't heard about the Network of National Library of Medicine, just a little bit of background information about us. We are part of the National Library of Medicine, which is actually a part of the National Institutes of Health. And so what we really work to do is to promote equal access to health information for professionals and as well as the public at large. So we're actually broken into 7 different regions. So I'm from Region 3, so we cover Arkansas, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. So as a national network, we work, the regions work together to collaborate on different initiatives. One of those is which is going to be bridging the digital divide. So telehealth fits really well into this because it focuses on expanding access to health information and healthcare through different digital technologies. So that's just a little bit about NNLM in the Network of National Libraries of Medicine. So some of what we're going to go over today is we'll kind of define telehealth and its role with connecting people to quality healthcare, and kind of describe what the library's role is in offering telehealth access and how they can help with digital literacy skills, and also highlight some available resources and the trainings that we have coming up to learn more about telehealth programs. So getting started, what is telehealth? So the Health Resources and Services Administration from the Department of Health and Human Services. So they define telehealth as the use of electronic information and telecommunications technologies to support and promote long distance healthcare. So this can look like virtual visits, this can look like calls to your doctor, this can look like chat-based interactions. So there's a lot of different ways that, a lot of different variations of what telehealth is. And some experts consider telehealth to be a broader category, whereas telemedicine is the more specific, focusing just on clinical care. But for what we're talking about, I'm just going to kind of use telehealth throughout to describe virtual visits and communications between patients and their providers and their doctors. So telehealth, why this is important, you may surprise you to know that telehealth's actually been around since the 1940s. So it hasn't been a prominent part of healthcare until more recently. COVID-19 really kind of accelerated this, accelerated the adoption of telehealth into healthcare. And now that individuals and organizations kind of have experienced the benefits of this, it's really kind of more likely to stick around. So with telehealth, considered a really important mechanism to promote equitable health outcomes and get more equitable access to people to get access to healthcare. And again, some of the benefits of this is that telehealth improves healthcare access for people who live in rural or isolated communities. It makes healthcare services more convenient for people with limited mobility, limited time, or transportation options, especially rural. Like if you're looking at driving 2 hours to see the nearest doctor, that can be a big access barrier to just getting to a healthcare professional. Telehealth is also really crucial when it comes to reducing the spread or exposure to infectious diseases like COVID-19 or the flu. Telehealth is also really useful when it comes to certain types of medical visits, particularly those that don't require close physical examinations. So this might be things like prescription management for high blood pressure and diabetes, reviewing lab test results. So again, you don't have that really long trek back to the doctor just to get your lab results. Managing chronic conditions. Mental health appointments are a really good fit for telehealth because those are often a little bit more frequent. Maybe you go once a week or once a month or what have you. Telehealth can make that a lot easier to facilitate and get to. Telehealth also improves access to specialty providers. These tend to be concentrated in large medical centers and very urban, highly populated places. So telehealth can help with the access to those specialty providers. So libraries are really well positioned to serve as access points. So libraries are known to be community anchors. They have reliable broadband access. They have meeting space. They have information and connectivity, and they're in tune with their communities. Like, what do the communities need? What's going on with those communities? So libraries are this really great anchor point. And lots of times in some communities, public libraries may be the only available space for computers or for internet access, especially when you're looking at the very isolated rural areas. So often libraries are centrally located. So if people, this is also for urban areas, for people that are centrally located. So if they're facing transportation barriers, they may find it easier to get to a library rather than driving into a big city for a clinic. Libraries sometimes are just easier to get to. So they also, like Carrie mentioned, they provide privacy and safety for individuals who may not have those things at home. One of the big principles within libraries is protecting privacy, protecting people's rights to information. So it's just a good fit for telehealth and libraries. Libraries also have experience responding to community health needs. And so this responsiveness was on display when at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in this next slide. So the American Library Association created a special report about the ways public and academic libraries and school libraries sort of responded to the pandemic. Public libraries were some of the organizations that opened back up the earliest after everything got shut down in 2020. And also librarians served as information first responders, helping promote evidence-based information about the pandemic, information about national and local guidelines, because that kind of shifted depending on where you were, how populated those places were. So libraries kind of help disseminate that information. Many libraries also provided Wi-Fi access outside their buildings. So even if you couldn't go in, you could at least kind of drive your car in there, sit in the parking lot, get connected to Wi-Fi access. And we also, several libraries often lent out laptops or portable Wi-Fi hotspots. And libraries developed sanitizing and quarantine protocols for materials. So they were still able to hopefully check out books or laptops, like I said, and came up with ways to make sure that it was safe, that they were properly cleaned and sanitized before being loaned out again. A lot of libraries also helped distribute masks or COVID-19 testing kits. But in short, this just goes to show how libraries were really a critical part of the social infrastructure and how they can keep communities connected and keep communities strong. So looking at the different forms that telehealth can take. So with this, there's no one size fits all. Telehealth programs in libraries are still very new. And there's organizations are trying different things. They're finding out what works for them, what works for their communities, especially depending on what resources they have available to them. So there, again, there's no one size fits all. There's no, they haven't established like a best approach for this yet. We're still trying to figure out what works best for everyone. And each library takes a little bit of a different approach, which is good. Telehealth access can and should be offered in a variety of different ways. So some of the approaches that we've seen with the different libraries is we've seen libraries do device lending. So providing mobile hotspots, providing laptops for patrons that they can check out and they can use to access health information at their homes or access those telehealth appointments. So a lot of people are doing the device lending. We've also seen some libraries that have renovated existing spaces or have added new places for these kind of sort of kiosks, these very private enclosed kiosks. Some have also had to update their technology or increase their internet bandwidth. So that way they can facilitate these higher speeds for the video and the audio to come over the internet. Staffing is another important part of this. So depending on the scope of services, some libraries have updated existing workflows to support telehealth programs. Some libraries have started having digital navigators, social workers, or community health workers. So with the digital navigators, they can really help with teaching those digital literacy skills. So just how to get on Zoom, how to access your telehealth appointment, how to access the online patient portal chart after. So digital navigators really help with those digital literacy skills. Social workers are another really great resource to have in the libraries that we've seen some of these libraries do, and they just help connect people to a wide network of community resources. So again, social workers are really embedded into the communities. If you're struggling to get access to food, if you're struggling with housing, or maybe your bills are behind, just a wide array of networks that social workers can help these people tap into and get access to. And then community health workers, again, these are people that really know their communities, are really connected, and they can offer guidance on some health topics, sort of like how to use a blood pressure cuff, or giving more information about insulin and diabetes, and just, again, connecting those people to those health information resources. So another really important part of this is community partners. They're valuable collaborators to make sure that these telehealth appointments are successful within the community. So potential partners include like local health providers. We've seen some libraries have a designated clinical partner, which can really make the scheduling portion of this easier. Public health agencies, accountable care organizations are other really great potential partners. There's also federally funded telehealth resource centers. And so these are kind of spread out throughout the nation, but they provide more localized information for your specific states. They're a great wealth of information for patients, for providers, for people that are helping facilitate telehealth access. And so those telehealth resource centers are a really great potential partner. And then, of course, there's privacy policies. So again, you want to be mindful of HIPAA and make sure that you're protecting the patient's privacy and also the library patron's privacy. So one of the first ones that I want to show you that we kind of looked at within our course and just kind of give you a brief overview is Delaware. And so we'll talk a little bit about how these approaches have shown up in different libraries. And like I said, keep in mind that both of these examples are public libraries, but many of these basic principles can apply to other libraries, other community organizations that may be well positioned to collaborate with health institutions and offer that point of access for telehealth programs. So what telehealth does is they have a couple different approaches to telehealth. So what Delaware does, they have a couple different approaches. So they lend out Chromebooks and Wi-Fi hotspots at several of their locations. And you can kind of see it in this photo, but they have these private, fully accessible kiosks. And so it's kind of the box that's in the corner here. It's just wide enough for 2, maybe 3 people to get into, or if you have mobility issues, maybe crutches or a wheelchair, you can still get in there. And it makes it really helpful for people, maybe they have children with them or someone who's needs a support person or a caregiver to come with them to this appointment, they can still get into that little private kiosk. And in there is, you know, a computer, lighting, a video camera, so everything that you need to facilitate the telehealth appointment. And Delaware libraries actually hired part-time social workers to assist patrons in navigating their telehealth and teleservice appointments. And so they developed their approach in collaboration with several partners, including some health and social service agencies that they have in their areas. So the next one that I kind of want to highlight, and this is near and dear to my heart because this is in my region that we serve. So the Pottsboro Area Library. So they actually used a grant from our regional office to convert an old storage space. So they cleaned it out, they repainted it, spruced it up, and turned it into a private room for virtual visits. So they invested into equipment to support these telehealth appointments. So there's things like a blood pressure cuff, a pulse oximeter, there's a scale, they added additional lighting, and they partnered closely with the University of North Texas Health Science Center and Safer Care Texas to come up with things, policies on sanitation procedures to help with scheduling. And they also included developing protocols around infection prevention, day of appointments, and how that workflows would go, and facility cleaning and disinfection. So in our upcoming course that I'll talk about in the next few slides, Telehealth 101, what libraries need to know. We talk more about these libraries in depth, as well as several other programs across the nation. We talk a little bit about that's going on in Hawaii, and as well as Wyoming and a couple other different libraries throughout the nation. So the telehealth course 101, this actually kicks off this summer. We're all really excited about this with our interest group. This course is going to be free, and it's delivered through our online training platform called Moodle. So it's a scheduled and facilitated course. So what that means is that we have it scheduled through July, and learners will move through the content at their own pace, but it's within a set period of time. So the first offering of this course is offered starting June 12th, and the learners have 4 weeks to get through the content, but the instructors will be there. They'll be checking in online, monitoring the discussion boards, and just helping facilitate that course. So it's 3 modules long. They take about an hour each. There's continuing education credit available. And it's sort of self-paced in that students have access to the course over those 4 weeks, and they can complete that course within that time frame. And so, like I said, we're offering this course in June. And that filled up in a matter of days. So we knew that this was a topic that was needed and people were interested in, but we were blown away by just how fast it filled up. So we ended up offering another section right after it closes, again in July to August. And that one didn't fill up quite as quickly, but that actually filled up within the last few days. So again, we're just really excited and kind of surprised by just how quickly these classes have filled up and how excited people are to take this course. So we have plans to offer this again in the fall. We don't have the exact dates yet because we want to get some feedback from those first initial pilot courses and hopefully implement that into our fall class. But the link that's on the screen, and I'll drop this in the chat afterwards too, is to our training calendar. And please keep an eye on that. We'll be sure to announce it on the training calendar so we can offer that next instance that's coming up. So again, we're just really excited about how popular this has been so far because it's a hot topic. It's a good topic. And then just really quickly, I do want to give a shout out to another webinar that we have coming up. I think that this might be a topic that's of interest to a lot of the people here, but we'll have Dr. Annabelle Rodriguez from the School of Public Health at UT Houston, University of Texas, Houston, and she'll be talking about health screening needs for immigrant workers across the Texas Panhandle. So again, this webinar is free. Anyone is interested in health or health literacy, they're welcome to join. And I'll drop the link to the register to this webinar in the chat as well. So, and then just last thank you to everyone else on the telehealth interest group. So thank you everyone for joining me today.
I want to share both of those on our AgriStress page. So I definitely will take the links in there. I had a question come up in my mind that I was thinking about. Most of these rural libraries will probably just get like the one, I don't know what you want to call cubicle or whatever, because I'm sure they're very expensive. Do you have the community members call the library and say, make an appointment to say, hey, I have a telehealth or a doctor's visit at 10 a.m. Can I have this spot?
So it kind of depends on the library. With Pottsboro, because they work through University of North Texas Health Science Center, they have their own clinic. So the patients schedule through the Health Science Center, and they'll just let the library know, hey, someone is going to be here in this time frame. For other libraries, though, they kind of handle scheduling on their own, and they'll just book this space. And so the library doesn't really know why they're there, what healthcare provider they're going through, to just kind of protect that privacy of it. The libraries don't, the less information that's shared about that, the better, because we want to protect that privacy. So the patrons will just kind of book that space. And I'm not sure if that's online or if they can call. I think that just kind of depends on what the library's scheduling policy for it.
Yeah. I have the same question as Maria, and then Donna actually suggested this in the chat. Is the course just open to libraries? Or like Donna said, they were thinking in Wyoming about putting something like this in their extension offices.
So the course is it's geared towards public libraries. That's kind of what our focus is on, but it's certainly any community organization. It's free for anyone to take. So if you're looking at your spaces and your resources that you have, and you go, I think I could offer telehealth, this course definitely has some good information for you available.
Now, is this nationwide, or are you just in certain states right now?
For the interest group, we're from all over. We have somebody from Utah, we have somebody from Illinois, we have somebody from Maryland. And so the libraries that are participating in telehealth access, again, this is really, really new. And we were trying to when we started talking about this, we started trying to see what libraries are doing this. And it was kind of hard to track because there's just so many different ways that you can provide telehealth access. I would say reach out to the libraries in your area and directly ask them. But I know there's some in Wyoming, there's some in Hawaii. I think Oregon and Washington have a couple programs. Texas, there's some. I think I said Missouri, if not Missouri. And then Delaware, and I think Maryland has some programs, and I think New York's also looking at some. So it's just very different for how all these libraries are approaching it and what stages that they're in. But definitely reach out to your local library or the area that you're interested in and just ask them directly, because it may be something they're considering. It may be something that they're in the process of starting. So.
Okay, that was my next question is, since you are so new, you probably don't have a directory of what libraries offer this yet, right?
No, we don't have a directory of that.
Okay, so I am in Missouri. If there's a way for me to find out what libraries offer this, I would love to share this.
Yeah, I know Missouri a few years back they got COVID funds to try and help public libraries get more access to laptops, to boost their internet and things like that. So I know there's some public libraries throughout Missouri that are doing this. It just really depends on how they use those funds and kind of what their program ended up looking like. And Elena commented the Latino community unfortunately has no access, including libraries. And yeah, it's an unfortunate reality. I know there's a lot of programs that work directly to find especially the migrant workers in the fields and bring that healthcare to it. But it's not a topic that's talked about enough, and it is definitely a barrier. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how to address that, and I'd love to hear ideas about that, because that's something we like to talk about.
I have an idea for that. If we could create kind of a mobile kiosk that can reach out to them instead of them reaching out to the library, which is impossible. It's literally impossible. It doesn't exist, and they don't have time or anything. So we need to reach out to them. And I am free and ready to do anything to help them.
I like that idea. Yeah. Cause I've seen like the mobile libraries
Sure.
that go out to the farm workers. I've seen like the mobile clinics that go out there and
Sure.
stuff. So having a mobile kiosk that facilitates that connection, I think that'd be a really great idea.
Yeah, and also translating material. I am open to help with that. I'm a translator, interpreter. I'll be happy. They need to be informed. That's an issue. They have no access. We need to provide that access.
Where are you located at?
I am in Alameda, California, by
California?
San Francisco. Right.
Oh, okay. I'll take down your email and I'll connect you with one of the regional libraries that covers California. Cause I know, again, this is a topic we're definitely interested in.
Yeah, and we can move along, grow together. It's okay. It's a process. But thank you so much, guys, for this. This is amazing. And count with me whenever you need anything in Spanish, Zoom, presence, whatever. Okay, I have to go to work. But thank you so much, everybody. I love this.
Thank you for all your volunteering to help, Alina. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
So I love connecting people. This is one of the things I love to do with this group is connecting each other to help promote your projects. So if there's anything that you want me to share on our AgriStress page, you can actually go there on Facebook and post it yourself, and then I just approve it. Or you can just go ahead and send it to me, or send me a link to sign up maybe for your newsletter or something, and then I can share everything each month. Sorry, my grandson is done. So if anybody else had any questions, go ahead and unmute. All right, and then just remember all of those links are in the chat. I think we will go ahead and send those out in that email as well. So that way, just in case you guys missed it in the chat and you want to look at it later, I'll go ahead and send those out as well. So this is Finn. Okay, you want to say bye-bye? You did so good.
Quick question. Are you posting this presentation?
Yeah, I'm posting.
Okay.
It's not my room, but every month we have this AgriStress meeting. So when you register once, you're registered for the whole year, like the whole rest of the year. We have to re-register every January because of our grant, but which that kind of stinks because January is hard to get back into the mode of everything. But Zoom will send you a reminder every month on it. And then we also have recordings on YouTube that will be sent out in an email as well. So if you happen to miss one, or maybe you want to forward it on to colleagues, feel free to go ahead and do that as well. So it's always going to be there for rewatching. But I just sounds funny. I don't need to do drugs. I get my high from connecting you guys and just sharing everything. So it just makes me feel so good that we get to learn so much. We're all working towards the same goal. So let's work together. So you really showed that today, Alina, that you're like, hey, I'm there for anything. So I appreciate
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, guys. It's the first time I get into this. I work with Agribility, and I've been doing a lot of conferences via Zoom or in person, but I'm ready. Okay, so count with me.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Next month is going to be July 5th, I believe. So it is going to be right after the holiday. Sometimes attendance is down a little bit, but we're going to have two great, amazing speakers as well in July. So we will see you guys then. Until then, happy Wednesday.